Ah, yes. Here we are with you once again. As you can probably hear the sirens in the background a little bit, heralding the arrival of the High Noon Hemp Show. If you're watching us live, of course, that means, as always, it's Wednesday at noon Eastern Time. It's time for the High Noon Hemp Show because it's known internationally as time for the High Noon Hemp Show. You can watch us many places, of course, if you want the video on demand or live, if you're watching live now. You can do it on the Temptations Beach Facebook page, the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and at Temptations on X, formerly known as Twitter, podcast, Podbean, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. I am Stoner Jesus. You can search my various shenanigans and tomfoolery on the interwebs. He is Beach, high above the Temptations in Sharonville, Ohio, at the Hemp Quarters. Beach, how are things in this new month in the world of Temptations?
Pretty okay. Pretty okay. Cold. Now it's cold.
Yes,
It was hot just recently. It's cold. You know, it is. It's the weather. Changes here quite a bit. But it allows me to put more on for that "What Are You Wearing Beach" segment of the show that we love and tout so much. Welcome
that's right.
everyone. It is true. It is the first Wednesday of the month. The alarms are going off for the High Noon Hemp Show, and for no other reason because it is high noon and we are here live. It's true. Remember, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. That being said, let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it stands. I'm sorry, is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. I'm trying to go off my memory now. I've been trying, I've been saying it quite a bit so much, and all of a sudden, because once again we said the pledge. I don't think most schools even do this. We said the Pledge of Allegiance every
Yeah,
day, and so it's so ingrained that I briefly went back to it. This is the Hemp Pledge of Allegiance.
that's right.
Um, so we've been talking about my Guinness World Records. No, they are not Guinness World Records. I should say they are world records. They are not recognized by Guinness. So I cannot claim that they are Guinness World Records. The world
Right.
records that I hold, I believe, um, consecutive days wearing a different hemp hat, consecutive days wearing a different hemp shirt, and just a personal collection of hemp goods. So um, I went back and I had a list somewhere that I had started of all my hemp goods, um, but somehow I misplaced it. So I decided to start a new one. And according to the new list that I started, um, I have 177 different hemp things. Okay, from my hemp handled knife to a t shirt. Now, my clothing category had about 12 or 15 different categories there. Um, and then my bags category had probably about 5 or 6 different kinds of bags. Um, and so if you take those away and you just say, okay, clothing is one category. If you have one piece of hemp clothing, then you count that as clothing in the clothing category. Or you have one hemp bag, you count that in a bag. Then that takes it down to about 150 if you want to do it that way. Okay. Um, that also being said, I did a rough count of my T-shirts and everything that I had. I counted 210 hemp shirts.
Wow.
That being said, I don't know if the one that I have there. I have one hemp shirt. I have one hemp shirt that's actually 35% hemp, 65% cotton. And so I go back and forth whether to even count that or not as an actual hemp shirt. um, but that's it. Most of them, 90, I would know, I'd say 80% of my hemp shirts are a 55-45 blend, and 20% of them are probably 100%. Um, and so That's the way that works. So anyway, starting to get a rough count. Still waiting to hear from Guinness. Uh, as to whether they're going to,
Indeed.
fly somebody out to verify all this, uh, or not, or just do it. I suppose it's funny because again, now you have to pay. You have to pay to submit.
Mm.
It's gonna. I was watching some show where they were found the largest dinosaur of this particular dinosaur, and they were all excited because Guinness Book of Records wants to know if they want to submit this. And I'm thinking, I mean, you guys got a lot of money, so that $750. That's the last time I think I looked. It was
Wow.
$750 to submit an entry. It doesn't mean it's not even guaranteed that you will get the record. It just means you submit it and then they verify and then go from there, I believe. Um, and so, and again, they still do stuff for free. I think. I mean, I think they still show up at certain things that are supposed to break world records and verify them. I don't know. They're actually out of Europe, if I
Mm.
remember correctly. It is not an actual United States company. I believe it's an English company that is the Guinness Book of World Records, so to speak. I consider them still world records, regardless. Um, and so, if you think you have 150 different, at least 150 different items, my hemp mugs on there, everything. And again, I'm still looking around, and I do still feel like there are things that I have that I haven't added, as well. So that's a basic start. If you have more than 150 different hemp items in your hemp collection of goods, then you will be. Whoa!
Oh,
Uh, that was one technological difficulty I wasn't expecting by using my phone now as a camera. Just pull the whole thing off the stand. You can change the tripod there. Yeah, that's how I get. I
uh,
get excited. I get excited when I talk about hemp in my hemp collection. I am usually pretty humble, but I also say practice what you preach. And
that's right.
starting a business called Hemptations, if I didn't have as much hemp stuff as I had, then I wouldn't be practicing what I was preaching 28 years ago and preach to this day. The glorified hemp plant. Anyway, um, all right, let's get started with the show. Get on with some hemp products here. The first being the raw hemp pipe cleaners. So, if you, and again, they're called pipe cleaners, but I mentioned this not too long ago. I may have shown these not too long ago. How I think a pipe cleaner is like a utility item because they can be used as a zip tie, basically, or a twist. You can wrap them around something. You can make Christmas ornaments if you decorate your Christmas tree with stuff. There's so many utilities that the pipe cleaner has. The crafts, I should say, the crafts involved in pipe cleaners. Again, the utilities. These are the soft ones, so they don't have the metal, and so I do tend to use these as a cord wrap. Um, and then I'm using hemp and as a cord wrap, instead of reusing my bread ties if I have them, which is also what I do because we reuse. So
Mhm.
anyway, get yourself some hemp pipe cleaners, not just for the holidays, but everyday use possibly. The next one, on an alternate note, is the Space Gods Delta 9 gummies. Still very popular. Um, Once again, 100% legal. And the Delta 9 is extracted from industrial hemp. 100% legal. And these are actually a 1-to-1 ratio of Delta 9 to CBD, which I think people really, that calming of all of it, people really, really enjoy. Still very popular. Um, if you do want to tie something up, maybe longer than a pipe cleaner, maybe you want to use some hemp twine. Got it in all kinds of different colors and ways to do it. If you need some, I'm not guaranteeing that's a older picture of the rack here at the Sharonville location, but we should still have most of those color choices and whatnot. Um, down there. So um, hemp twine, probably one of the oldest, if not oldest, form of hemp that we have found. If I do believe there was uh, in Turkey or in the area of Turkey a piece of pottery that had hemp twine around it that was dated at like 10,000 years old or something. There from the beginning when we became agrarians, one of the original plants that humans planted when we were becoming no longer hunters and gatherers, but agrarians growing crops, staying in one place. It's hard to believe, but humans have been moving around most of the time until only about 10,000 years ago. So anyway, get yourself some good old fashioned hemp twine if you need it for anything. Once again, it could be there's so many utility purposes of twine, no doubt about that. And how about some Laura's Homestead dog treats? Again, very popular. I call them local because they're Kentucky. They're not too far away. The hemp is grown there. They're made there. This is Laura of Laura's Lean Beef Company fame, which she sold that company. It's probably been 10 years ago at least, and started her. It was probably about the same time um, that hemp was becoming legal, 2013, 2014 or so, I believe, even not before that, and then started her hemp businesses, CBD and whatnot. And so um, the dogs love them. We got small dog treats and large. Is basically your choices there. Now, the one from my door, as we say, four from the store, one from my door, is my piece of hemp art. Once again, I am pretty sure I would love for someone to challenge me on this one. This is the world's largest piece of hemp art. Doesn't look big on your screen, but it measures 7 feet 10 inches wide, 7 feet 10 inches, 7'10". How about that for a coincidence? Um, if it was only 4 feet 20 inches on the other side, but it is not, unfortunately. It is only 3 foot 5 inches, so it's 3.5 feet tall, almost 8 feet long, almost 8 feet long. Okay. Now, what we've got here is hemp canvas, and this I want to first and foremost not forget that this is one of my pieces of art done by Aaron Dobson, who was my Sunday employee, just Sundays, for like 5 years. I mean, the kid, literally just showed up every Sunday for 5 years or so. That being unbelievably talented artist. I mean, just every piece of anything that he ever drew, he did the sign for our Dayton door. Um, and I'll start pulling some of this stuff out as far as artwork. He's just genius, honestly, artistically. Um, yeah, so if you look on the left side, and I think I shot you the pictures, the trees over there going up towards the sun. Here it is. This is hemp twine. So we've got it on hemp canvas. We've got hemp twine making up the trees, and this also makes up the art the lines that were on all the way on the right side, which I didn't take a picture of. Those were made out of hemp twine as well. And then the raindrop is hemp seed. And so this is all hemp seed. And again, this I should have measured. I should have measured how tall it was, but I'm guessing that raindrop made out of hemp seed is 8 inches tall. I would almost guess. I'll have to measure it and let everybody know next week because I know inquiry minds want to know these things. But again, it's probably a good 8 inches tall, 4 to 5 inches wide, but it's big. It's big. It's a lot of hemp seed. Um, I don't know what he used to hold everything on, but like a true artist, he made it to last forever because it's probably 20 years old at this point. I think. Oh no, I don't. I don't even have to guess. He dated it. It was '03, so it is celebrating its 20th year anniversary of existence. Um, with us. And again, it was hanging in the O'Brienville, up on the O'Brienville wall for those 20 years until recently, where I brought it here, where I am going to hang it on the wall here and start a hemp art wall with, I showed some hemp art prints that I had last week. And so I have more art that's hemp, but once again, this is my largest piece, 7 feet 10 inches wide, 3 feet 5 inches tall. Uh, Literally more, because you have hemp canvas, hemp twine, hemp seed. So there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 or 3 from my door. And again, I don't know if that would be considered a sculpture, because sometimes there's weird definitions of art. But anyway, this it's so cool, and where I have it now, it makes me feel so good because I basically in a windowless room. It's huge, but I don't have any windows where I'm at. And again, I think it's the worst part of it. But now I've got this big, huge outdoor scene that really does help, honestly.
There you
All
go.
right, now, dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Guinness Book of World Record thing. They're on X. I'm thinking of just I haven't done this yet because it seemed kind of I don't know uncouth if anybody remembers that word to like promote ourselves to the Guinness people on X, but I really could like bring it to their attention the massive amount of hemp stuff you have, and if that doesn't do anything, maybe that'll bring out some challengers to the crown, if you will, of
Right.
the person with the most hemp stuff. And we'll see if we can get a little competition going.
Well, you
A
know
little
what they say is if it's not bragging if it's true.
right.
And so I feel like it would be very toothy for you to address, or me to address, the Guinness Book of World Records in a way to say, hey, I truly believe, I'm not just saying this because I think I have these world records. I truly believe that I hold these world records. So yeah, poke them,
That's right.
see what happens.
Maybe hey, maybe they'll be like, you know what? This is something we're gonna get behind. This
Yeah,
hemp thing. We're gonna fly. That's why it's so good you're getting an inventory together because I feel like they're gonna need that. They're gonna need a lot of documented proof of what's going on when they send their team of Guinness World Record verifiers or whoever they send. It'd be
yeah,
very important.
I think
Absolutely.
so. I think, yeah, I'm here. I'm there. I'm ready. Oh, well, I'm not ready. I'm close to ready.
You're on X. Make sure you retweet and like and comment and all that stuff. We're gonna get their attention. You know,
I need to, yeah, right?
I mean, they're busy, like we know, with some 148-year old person in Asia or some 28-pound baby that just got born in Bangladesh or whatever. We need them to focus on the hemp for a second.
It's prime, man. The world is prime to know about hemp world records.
That's right.
Prime.
We're gonna be pioneers.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we've been doing it for over 5 years now, proving just how much hemp clothing Beach has. Because the thing with clothing is he wears it. He wears it everywhere he goes. And on Wednesdays, what he's wearing on that day, we show you. And all I have to do is ask one simple question, and Beach will tell you all about it. When I ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
Today I am Hemperman. This is kind of also um, Halloween Hempoween costume. I would have probably a different hat, a little different outfit, but kind of. My goal is, like bust open the shirt. I am Hemperman. But anyway, on the top there, you've got it's purple and green more than anything today, which would be my Hemperman outfit for the most part. Um, Evo Hemp hat on top. That long sleeve button down is the Hemp Company. Um, the shirt underneath, my Hemperman shirt, so to speak, is a printed here at Planet Everywhere. This is kind of a logo. I don't know, just like a hemp leaf kind of thing that we came up with um, a long time ago, and have put on all kinds of stuff over the years. And then underneath that T-shirt is a long sleeve Young Maven kind of undershirt, button up, the half button up undershirt. Um, my jeans are Dash Hemp, one of the older jean companies I believe that still exists. I know Dash Hemp still exists, so go check them out online. Um, but and then in the pocket there, of course, as always, my Green Springs Technology pen. Underneath it all, now what I would do for the costume, if I really wanted to get like bust out into it, was I would have long, my full length hempist long underwear, basically, um, same color, and then I would have them tucked into my knee high purple socks. And so those Satori socks, you can kind of picture it. So green leggings because he wore leggings, um, and then knee high socks, uh, and possibly just wear the socks, um, because his boots were kind of all the way up anyway. I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. And then on my feet there's again Just Naturel, one of the most awesome clothing companies back in the day. Um, and I just found a couple pairs of these. They're kind of a boot shoe, um, and I've been wearing them because I'm kind of excited about it. Because I don't know why I didn't really wear them a whole lot back in the day, but you're gonna get some wear this winter. I'm sure of that. So uh, there you have it. Um, you could also picture. I was thinking about because I have an apron, an orange apron, of making the apron um, my uh,
Cape.
cape. That's the word I'm looking for. Jeez, cape. Making that my cape, and kind of going from there. But anyway, there you have it. If you're curious, is the kind of Hempoween costume party. And I have to apologize, I didn't make it to the Hempoween costume party last night at Mad Tree, but this is kind of close to what I
I feel like that
would.
could be like the next commercial, the next Temptations commercial. Mild mannered
Ah,
beach becomes mild mannered hemper man. Someone has a hemp emergency, and you got to rip open the shirt and the whole 9 yards.
I have been thinking about making some new commercials. You might have some there. Um, it's not a bad idea at all. I'll have to
Someone
make
in
a I'll have to
dress,
make a trailer first,
yes.
which I'll get to working on the trailer almost immediately. And then we'll work on the commercial or short Hemperman uh, uh, movie, or it wouldn't be a movie, just maybe just a short Hemperman episode. I like it. I like it.
There we go.
That being said, we're going to get to some news, but first, how about a little commercial break?
What is your stance on Hemptations? I am pro Hemptations. I am anti Hemptations. It is said Hemptations has the largest selection of hemp on the planet. Thoughts? My opponent would say food and fiber, but I say CBD and plastics. Simply not false. I would go on to add body products and paper. What's the one location you want everyone to know about? Well, they are all great, so start with the one closest to you. I say adventure out to the store furthest from you. Closing words? Use hemp to help the planet. Help the planet by using hemp. Having Hemptations? I am having Hemptations.
There you go.
Just a reminder, Ohioans, get out and vote on Tuesday. Do it. Very important stuff going on in the state of Ohio, um, and so let's have your voice heard. Right, wrong, or indifferent, vote. All right. Well, let's get on with some news here because lot of cool products this week for some reason. It's so weird how this happens, but One here is a Olich and Waj. I don't know the company, but it's a new watch that they're coming up with, and they're using 1950s vintage Swiss Army surplus fabric for the watch bands. Okay, when this was made in the 50s, the Swiss Army or whoever made it said that it would have 100-year shelf life. And you look at it, and the fabric is in great shape. Again, I don't know if they're just cutting it down or what to do this. But this is like, I mean, again, I didn't really even think about how super cool this really is. And once again, a testament to the strength, so to speak, or the longevity of using hemp fiber and the right weave. Because once again, this weave was made over 60 years ago. Over 60 years ago, they made this material. All of a sudden, this watch company, I don't know when they discovered it in the back of a warehouse or what, or maybe the Swiss Army was cleaning out an old barracks, I don't know, somewhere where this was stored, and said, "Hey, look at all this. What do we do with it?" I don't know. But once again, it was, they must have been there. They knew the documentation on it or whatnot, because again, it was when it was made in the 50s for the Swiss Army. Um, and I assume that is Swiss Army a company name, not really an army. I mean, I know that the Swiss have their army, but they have a hell of an air force. But I feel like Swiss Army is a company name, which is kind of misleading, one way or another. Um, anyway, we'll have to do some research on that. But once again, this material was in such good enough shape after being stored, apparently for 60 years or so, that they're using it for their watch bands. Which again, just what a reuse idea. What a great. I mean, we love to reuse. I'm a big supporter of the reuse, and to make everything else out of hemp. And this is both. This is both. I love it. Um, on a sad note, I suppose it looks like Virginia's new hemp laws are going to be upheld. A federal judge has upheld their laws, and this is they have some new interesting ones. Um, I don't know if it makes Delta 8 not legal anymore. I know that you can't use certain packaging for stuff, but one way or another, it doesn't bode well for 100% legal industrial hemp byproducts in the state of Virginia. Um, and I know they enacted the law. I feel like it was in the spring when we were talking about it. And of course, it did get challenged, and this challenge was lost. Most of the challenges we've seen so far are won. So I don't know what Virginia did that was different from the other banning of laws and whatnot in other states, but this one is being upheld. So Virginia, that's tough luck for all the bordering states around Virginia. Good for you guys, because people are just going to drive across the county line or drive across the state line if there's a place close and go from there. Um, so, according to The Guardian online, hemp produces 220% more fibers than cotton. I guess that's per plant or length. I don't know how they're really determining that, but of course it does. I mean, I am almost surprised, honestly, that it's only 220% more, because with a little cotton ball, if you took a cotton ball and maybe it's just compared to one strand of that hemp that runs from the root of the tree to basically the top of the tree, that fiber part. Maybe they're just comparing like one of those to one ball of cotton. Um, and then, of course, there are, a lot of those, just like there's multiple balls of cotton on a cotton plant. But anyway, Just yet another reason. And of course, it does all this, by the way, it does all this without any use for herbicides or pesticides. So, I mean, the fact that it produces 220% more in comparison and doesn't require the pesticides and herbicides, again, I don't understand why the world is not growing hemp. Why, if as a farmer, wouldn't you want to get rid of all those chemicals, and grow a product that is 200% more successful at the end of the year? I don't. It's so weird. It's just, to me, that statistic alone should try to convince. And again, I get it, because you got to have somewhere for that material to go. And when you're competing against what already exists in the big C world, um, that's a lot of stuff. And so, but slowly but surely, um, we are seeing more and more, uh, especially the high-end fashion designers. The Guardian talks about Mara Hoffman and Pangea, um, both uh, using hemp. And then they may also go on to mention the ones that have been using it for almost as long as we've been open. I would say 20 years or so. I would say that Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, and Armani have been using hemp in at least some of their line things for quite a while. Um, and again, they don't tout them as hemp products. They just make a shirt or make some shorts or a pants, and or whatever it may be, all the way up to Armani making a $5,000 hemp tuxedo. It's just you picking out a tuxedo from Armani, and the fabric that you pick is hemp. It's not, they're not trying to catch anybody's eye. And Ralph Lauren came out. I remember it wasn't too long after we were open originally, that Ralph Lauren came out and said, "Yeah, I've been using hemp in our linens, tablecloths, and things like that for years." And again, and they don't. It wasn't about them doing it, but it was about him knowing that it would make a better product. I'm sure.
Mhm.
Um, and because hemp fiber, again, in Europe uh, is never not really been a thing. So it's kind of interesting. And then there's a company called B Label in India that is, I guess, a big. I guess they're a big name. I don't know. I mean, India's huge, so this could just be in one region of India that people clothing is popular, but they are starting to embrace more and more hemp in their clothing line as well. And so, it's a one world issue. There are no countries or places in all of the planet that could not and would not benefit from growing industrial hemp. Period. Again, it was a sacred grass 5,000 years ago in India. It was part of Chinese documented history of plants for, like, I think things going back 6,000 years. Um, and so again, it's not new. It just got beat out by crap. The convenience of drilling for oil, for fuel, the convenience of, and again, I don't really understand how it lost its popularity for food, because it's, humans eating hemp seed thousands and thousands, like I said, thousands and thousands, 5,000 years ago. Um, but and it's so nutritional, it's insane. But that one is, kind of baffling to me, honestly, is how it fell out of place for food, um, but is definitely making a comeback, at the top of everybody's superfood lists for its protein content and anything else that's for food. Um, but we're talking about fiber more than anything today, that's for sure. Um, so Billie Eilish, famous person, is the first to get this. It's called the Horse Bit 1955 bag. You see it on the left there. Okay, made by Gucci. The shirt and hat may be a little obnoxious, I know, but this is made from Gucci's new line of vegan leather that includes, yes, of course, hemp. And so I think that once again, uh, genius. Oh, you know, they use all of the cow, and I hate to think that there'd be less cows killed if all the leather products were replaced by hemp. And again, it's mixed with other things to do this. Is they had to coat it with some type of petrochemical still to make it all, I guess, all in all, feel like leather on the outside, which slightly disturbing, I suppose. Um, but vegan leather, and I know that I talked about a vegan leather or a plant-based leather company 6 months or so ago, and this may be who made this for them. This may be actually where Gucci is getting this from. Is this company that came up with this formula for vegan leather that again really looks and feels like leather. You know, the same people want that want a vegan burger to taste just like a meat burger. Again, the mind is a crazy thing when it wants what it wants. If you handed someone something that was called vegan leather and it felt like burlap, they'd be like, "No, this is burlap." Um, but once again, just another part of the cow that we can maybe not use. And I don't want it to go to waste when they kill the cow anyway, because they use 100%, unfortunately. But if we cut it, then we can cut our leather consumption. Man, less cows getting slaughtered for no reason. Just let them run wild like they do in India. It works for them. But anyway, um, this is pretty neat. I think it's going to get a lot of publicity because she's a big name in the world, and again, she's getting involved because of her environment, because of the environmental issues. Um, that a lot of fashion designers, honestly, I feel like need to deal with, and environmentally sustainable um, clothing, whether in high fashion or low fashion, as you want to, if you want to call it that. None of us would ever be able to afford probably to begin with. Um, making it healthier is great. Whatever. Those are the people with the money too that we need to convince to get on board with not using all the stuff that's bad, and using hemp if we can. No doubt about that. Um, Adidas back on their clothing game, I suppose, with hemp. I have a hemp hat and, of course, a bunch of shoes, but this is now, these are part of the Essential Plus. That's what they're calling it, Essential Plus line that they're releasing this fall or for the holidays. I don't know. But again, made with hemp. I'm sure much more affordable than the Gucci vegan leather bag, one way or another. But good for, again. Adidas has been using hemp in their shoes every bit of 25 years now, probably very close to it from the first pair that we knew about, the super modifieds, which I have in I think 3 different colors. That are, some of them are well worn because again they were the first real hemp shoes by a real hemp company. We had hemp shoes, but not major labels, so to speak. Uh, and again, I had a little bit of clothing, including some hats back in the day too. But this is, I think, their first real line of hemp clothing. So again, check out. Go to. I don't know if it's actually released yet or it's coming up soon. But again, this is the Adidas release. I'm sorry, Adidas Essential Plus line is what they're calling this. So check that out. That's actually everyday wear. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know what their price point is yet, but that looks like a T-shirt anybody would wear. It looks like a hoodie anybody would wear. Um, I don't know if they have women's as part of the line. I'll have to check that out as well. Maybe get an update on that for everybody. But uh, good for them for expanding their hemp lines one way or another. Here are the ingredients for hemp satiziki. I can't pronounce it. I'm not sure. Uh, but basically, on the bottom there, you've got the sauce is made with a cup. And again, take a screenshot of this. The bottom ingredients are the sauce. And I'm guessing um, it's pretty simple. You just mix all that together to that creamy consistency of tzatziki sauce, uh, and then spread it on whatever it is you want to spread it on. And so, uh, again, hemp cup that could contain. And I don't remember I don't know how the weight ratio goes, but that can contain up to 33 ish. Probably, I'm going to conservatively say 30 grams of protein alone in that cup of hemp seed. I forget what the cup ratio is. I think per 100 grams of hulled hemp seed, you get about 33 grams of protein. Um, and so I don't know what a cup is compared to 100 grams in measurements. Uh, but anyway, that's kind of how that goes. So that's, you're getting a decent amount of protein just out of the sauce for the most part, using just that. So there you have it. If you want to make some of that, now you know how to make it with hemp. And of course, you want to make any recipe out there and you want to use hemp, just Google the food, add hemp, and see if there's not a hemp recipe for it. I could spend probably an endless amount of time, and I just randomly come across these recipes. I could probably spend an endless time searching for hemp recipes online. Um, I think there are a lot of them for a lot of different kinds of foods, and maybe I'll try to find some that are a little surprising, or because there's a lot of things you can add hemp to as far as food product goes. Um, so I've been talking about wood stain and whatnot. How about this nightstand? So this is just some online viral thing, or online thing went viral, I suppose, because they used hemp. But it gets a boho coastal. That's what they call it, Bohemian coastal makeover. Um, and it was the first time that this particular person who does this, either for fun or just because this is a craft of theirs. Um, First time that they used hemp oil, and they were kind of leery because they didn't had never done it before, to protect, and they used it to protect the upcycled, what they call upcycled furniture. Um, Ended up saying that it was extremely easy to use. It left a soft matte sheen finish, and basically you just rub on the hemp oil and then wipe it off, kind of buff it off 10 minutes later. Bim, bam, boom, done. Uh, and so, once again, just shows you the utility of that same seed oil that we can use nutritionally, we can use externally on our skin, we can run a vehicle on, can be used as a stain stash sealant for wood. And again, all natural. It's just hemp oil. It's just seed oil. I don't. That's it. I doubt that you can come up with anything more natural. And of course, they mentioned no VOCs, not low VOC, but no VOCs. Um, and VOCs are forever chemicals, they call them. And that's what makes paint smell like paint. That's what makes carpet smell like carpet. Um, and it's why we need to be using hemp probably as a base for paint. I don't know because it would have to be uh, um, uh, because it's fat soluble. It might be difficult to mix with coloring, even though the hemp stain we have does come in different shades or colors, so to speak, from a gray to a cedar and whatnot. And so, the hemp oil can obviously be colored, and if it can be colored, I think that it might not work great as a paint because you would probably have to use like a lot of coats to really, because it really wants to absorb into the wood. And so it's going to absorb into the wood first and absorb into the wood until the color might come on. But it would be very interesting, honestly, to see what they could do with hemp oil paint and what colors may or may not be offered with a hemp oil based paint. Stain makes sense, I suppose, because again, it's absorbing into the wood, and so if it is colored, then and I guess that's how it would work. Is it might not paint something like you would picture something being painted like this from to that blue, but tint it to that color, and so it's wood blue. The wood has a blue tint or a green tint or a red tint or purple tint, which I think would be cool to show off the grain of the wood with doing that anyway. I don't, wood stains should come in as many colors as paint, if you ask me, um, because that just seems like a super cool idea. I give away $1 million ideas as much as I possibly can. Take one and run. Um, let's see here. This is kind of interesting because we've been talking a lot about how we believe terpenes are responsible for the smell of cannabis. Well, a recent study shows that it's actually esters, alcohols, and sulfur containing molecules. Sulfur containing molecules, well, interesting there, I suppose, in cannabis that actually comes up with its smell profile. One reason that they showed this is because they actually found that many different cannabises containing the same terpenes taste different. And I guess maybe that's why it started this whole idea, this whole theory to begin with. And so, obviously, the just like cannabis itself, which has a very complex code um, with all its markers, obviously, um, it's important for a menagerie of things in the cannabis to actually give it its taste or smell, and that is esters, alcohols, and sulfur-containing molecules. I think I saw once that cannabis has roughly over 600 different ingredients that make it. Uh, and again, we are still showing just like this how complex it really is, and how we have through breeding made so many different subspecies because of all this complexity. We bring one part up to do one thing, we take another part out. And that's exactly um, why there are so many different strains or cultivars of cannabis to begin with, because of its complexity and how easy it is to breed. It's just super easy, honestly. Your male germplasm and your female flower heads, you put them together, it's going to produce seed. I mean, it's amazing how fertile it is. And again, we always used to talk about it. That male germplasm can float for miles and miles in the air. It's its goal to go find that female flower that could be miles and miles away, to make sure that it produces seed. But that's how the plant works. It's quite amazing, and I think that's why a lot of wherever there's outdoor growing going, if they're now close to an industrial hemp field that's growing for fiber or grain, there's a likelihood that their field is or their plants are going to be um, brought down in degradation from what they want because of that wafting male germplasm that may be in those fields. When you're growing for seed, you have to have them out in the field so that you get all that seed. When you're growing for fiber, you don't necessarily want it. You just want the really tall plant, which may be the male to begin with. The male may be taller in the field than the female, and that's why it's a better plant to grow for the fiber um, as well. You'd want some females just to reproduce your seed, because if you had a successful crop, then you'd have all that seed for next year to grow, one way or another. So now we're going to start messing around with how to breed this ester out or this ester in or this out. So now it's going to get even deeper, folks. And again, I truly believe that the plant itself has an endless. In 100 years from now, we're still going to be making new, original cannabis plants. It's very possible. We've been at it now for 10,000 years, one way or another. I don't think we're going to be stopping anytime soon. And their drug war against this is failed because that's one reason why. It's part of humanity. You can't just make laws against what is part of humanity. Uh, prove that it's harmful before you tell us average people that we shouldn't have it in a legitimate way. Anyway, um, hemp fiber, once again, a lot of fiber this week as far as material goes. Hemp as a base for what they're calling e-textiles. Okay, and that's right, that's making it so your pants or your shirt are connected, okay, so to speak. And what they mean by that is, so when it's connected to a power source, hemp yarn was successfully able to warm, okay, and warm the wearer and or monitor their movements. Okay, now we know, or you should know if you've watched the show enough, um, that hemp is uh, okay. Stop, think. Okay, conducts electricity. Okay, the reason we know that hemp conducts electricity is because Ben Franklin, when discovering electricity through his kite thing, okay, that actually worked. If you don't know, is he had to use hemp twine. And the reason that he had to use hemp twine, okay, was to show, and this is how he did, this is what he did, was he watched the actual hemp twine, and the hairs on the hemp twine would stand up, and that's how he discovered electricity in the air, so to speak. Okay, wasn't the kite, wasn't necessarily even the key that he hung on the bottom, but I guess that's what drove that, at least a little bit of amount of electricity, to stand the hairs up on the hemp twine that was being held up by the kite. Um, and that's the history of it. That's the history of it. So this doesn't surprise me in the sense that hemp fiber can in fact conduct some type of electricity. Uh, Makes all the sense in the world. And again, this could be revolutionary to the tech world when it comes to connecting our clothing to an app or whatever. And again, I pictured it right away because I'm like, you plug your jeans into your phone, and your
Yep.
phone powers your pants, and then sends those results back to your phone with bam boom. Eventually we would hopefully be using hemp in those batteries because you can use hemp in certain batteries. But then we're going full circle, no doubt about it. But I feel like it's going to be as simple as that, um, as these clothings, e-textiles as they call them, a whole new, brand new division of hemp textiles, um, going on in the world. And yet again, another really good reason why to make them out of hemp. Now, of course, it's not like, and I don't want anybody to worry because again, I wear hemp every day and I've never been struck by lightning. It's not that powerful. Uh, it does not necessarily attract electricity. It just shows when electricity is possibly present. Um, and maybe the next like thunderstorm, or if we get lightning really close, I'm gonna take a close look at some of my clothing and see if the hairs stand up on it. I've never noticed that before. Anyway, um, I have to take some raw hemp. Actually, I'm kind of curious, and I don't know. It might have to be wet. There were many factors, um, when it came to what was going on, but the 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 key factor that would have, if he had used anything else, wouldn't have worked, possibly, or wouldn't have, was the hemp twine, one way or another. Um, all right, I'm going to leave you with a little history in Japan. And Japan does have a decent history when it comes to industrial hemp. There's a High Times article, talking about the hemp farmers, and this is crazy. Okay, there's a region above Tokyo, which is kind of known as the region where hemp is grown in Japan. Um, that in 1982, this is according to the High Times article, in 1982, had 6,000 hemp farmers in this region growing hemp. Now only has 12.
Oh,
I mean, you can't fathom it. Now, I don't know if those 12 have taken over the region, and there's still the same amount of hemp being grown. It's just a lot less people, or there's less hemp, and there is. I mean, they did comment. There is less hemp being grown, um, and they're talking about one of those farmers has been growing hemp in their family for like over 200 years, documented 200 years, hundreds of years of growing hemp in this one farming family alone. And um, I knew, we knew, because we were kind of educated on it when we first opened up, that the Japanese had like a real love for hemp. According to some of the history, um, the ninjas loved to grow hemp because their goal was to try to jump over. So they would train themselves to try to jump over. And you're talking about, once again, uh, 10 to 12 feet, probably easy. Um, I get it because it would be flexible, and so attempting to jump over it would not be that painful, if you don't make it, because you just end the hemp, I think. But that was supposedly part of ninja training. Was part of your day was spent out in the hemp fields trying to jump over the hemp plants. And again, it goes back to kimonos, uh, and all kinds of history, including this particular art pattern, which is called asanoha. Okay, and asa is, hemp, and ha, which I'm going to have to start using more, actually means leaf in Japanese. And I believe that when I looked up no, No actually meant to, T-O, um, which kind of, makes sense. Hemp to leaf. Basically, if you dissect the entire word. But, asa is the Japanese word for hemp, A-S-A, and ha is apparently, and I didn't know this until today, the Japanese word for leaf. And again, this is a huge pattern. I have shown multiple Seiko watches that have been released with this pattern. Um, and again, I think it's widely used as a decorative pattern in Japan and worldwide at this point, I'm sure. So um, pretty interesting. Uh, how common things history in hemp, just like this. Um, so you know, you go from a watch company using 70-year-old hemp in their watch bands to a whole country that has a huge history of industrial hemp, um, and how at this point it just seems like the rest of the world is embracing it. They're having difficulty with it, but we'll have to watch the Japanese hemp movement uh, closely now to make sure that hopefully it doesn't go away. I hope after 200 years of growing hemp in Japan that family farm doesn't go away. That would, but again, just thinking that in 1982, and again, this was the reinvention, and I'm not saying that this is why, but I don't know if the reinvention of the drug war in the 80s is what made their industrial hemp go down, that much, or if it was just they just weren't finding people to make hemp, finding companies to make the hemp like they used to. It's I don't know. It's really it's kind of crazy because again, I mean, I feel like the Japanese up until that point would have definitely rather used hemp than cotton. Has the cotton industry taken over in Japan? I don't know. So it's crazy. So we'll have to watch for some Japanese hemp companies. Um, because and I'm sure it's more grain and fiber. I don't know if they can even grow for CBD in Japan. To be honest with you, I don't know if anyone is growing for CBD in Japan. Probably not, or not a lot. So, all right, there you have it. No real events. There's a lot of some small events going around across the country, but no real events to talk about today. Um, Again, no real questions either, but my beach thoughts were scattered amongst the show as they normally are, and I don't have a particular other than in Ohio, get out and vote. Semi related, but not directly.
Mm,
Just makes it better, I think, for hemp. I think if we legalize in Ohio for recreational use, which we're trying to do, then maybe they'll get away with all these stupid hemp licensing, testing, all this stuff. You
yeah.
know, ways of doing things. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because I will legally be able to grow cannabis, um, I will grow hemp. Wow, I can't believe I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Huh. If it does become legal, that's how it does, in fact. You won't have to, legally, you won't have to get a license. It'll only be 6 plants, I believe, or so.
Okay.
Um, but legally, you won't have to get a license, pay $1,000 to grow industrial hemp if you'd like to. Um, Under those, huh? So there's my hemp loophole. If we go recreational in Ohio, is it does contain home grow protection, and I'm going to grow hemp. Ha!
Yep.
And I've got the seeds to do it. I know what seeds I'm going to use to first try to do this. Wow. Now I'm excited, even more than
Nice.
I was just the fact that cannabis should be legal for all its purposes everywhere. We
Yeah.
support that here at the High Noon Hemp Show,
Mhm.
one way or another. That being said, folks, remember reduce, reuse, recycle, make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See you all next week.